Hello, everybody, and another warm welcome here to Wine with Jimmy. Delighted to have you on board. Thank you for clicking by. Most of you will know this is all about wine education here, helping you get maximum enjoyment from wine, but specifically aimed at those of you studying the world of wine. So, of course, you can smash your exams out of the park. Now, this is a part of my series where I look at practice wine tasting for the WSET Level 3 award. And as you can see from the Union Jack in the top right-hand corner, this is applicable to my UK followers. I do have other versions available for the United States as well. Now, this is going to be around a Chardonnay tasting case, a specialist tasting case available to you if you're in the UK. You can scan on that QR code there on this screen or the next, or please click on the link in the description below this video to find out where to purchase this special tasting case. And there you are. It's a really wonderful tasting case. So not only is this educational, it's also just a selection of rather delicious wines. So you'll get a lot of excitement out of these, which I think is really part and parcel of this whole process. Why is this important? Well, this comes with the full WSET examiner's tasting notes, that's me, which I will run you through in this video. So I'll go through those tastings. Just one video here as free content. The other 5 wines are available only to those of you who purchase the tasting case. You'll also get hard copy of all the tasting wines as well, so you don't have to watch the videos if you don't want to. But either way, you'll practice with my examiner's notes. So either by video content where I walk through it, or by the hard copy. So this is really important and quite unique for those of you, if you're an individual and you want to go through this tasting case studying at home, or perhaps you want to purchase it as a part of a group where you can, of course, share the cost and do this as a tasting group. That might be quite exciting. We deliver direct to your door. And yeah, it's great to get involved. Now, 2 of the wines in this tasting case are half bottles. That's the Chablis and the Shaw & Smith Adelaide Hills M3 Chardonnay. The other 4 are normal standard size bottle. This is £165 available from the Winehouse. And once again, please click on the link on the description below or use the QR code. So I'm going to run through the first wine, which is the first on the left-hand side of your screen, which is the Domaine Laroche Saint-Martin Chablis Chardonnay. This is the 2023 vintage and will come at around £20 a bottle for half bottle. The ABV is 12.5% and it was tasted in February of 2025. So let me go through the tasting notes here. You'll see that on this slide, I have the appearance for 2 marks and the nose, which totals 7 marks here on this slide. But only 3 of the nose marks is available on this slide because we need to go through the aromas on the forthcoming 2 slides. So let's look at appearance for 2 marks. So the intensity is pale and the colour is lemon. There are no marks available for clarity or other observations. You may wish to put them if you want, but the examiner will just ignore them. So pale and lemon. Then the nose of this wine. So this is a Chablis. Chablis can have some really good intensity, but they do tend to be on the more delicate side. So I found this at medium intensity. It's also youthful because it does not display any tertiary characteristics in terms of its aromas. And I've also put this wine down as simple as well. You see that to the right-hand side. I'm going to describe why that is very shortly. But so far, that's 3 out of the 7 marks available for the nose. Now, a little quick hint or a tip. You may have already done your tasting note. Well, that's great. Please keep following along. But if you wanted to do each section, so maybe the appearance and nose, of course, you would want to pause this before this slide. And then, of course, the aromas are coming next, and then eventually the tasting and the conclusion. But you have, of course, the freedom and the liberty to pause this at any time. So those 4 remaining marks for the Chablis here. Now I found this lightly floral, very much green and citric, with a slight herbal and then other characteristic in terms of clusters. So I have highlighted these up here, something like a touch of chamomile, elderflower or white blossom, apple or pear, lemon peel. You could always have lemon here, I should think, as well. Fennel and dill, and flint and wet stones. So 4 of any of those. Now please remember that there is no negative marking here from an examiner to you, the student. So you can put more down than the minimum, and the minimum is 5. So please put more, as much as you can, but be somewhere between 5 and 15. Now, as an examiner, I have not put too much down here because this wine is a fairly delicate style. And if you go on to the secondaries and tertiaries, I actually found none. There were no yeast, mallow, or oak dominant characteristics in terms of secondaries, and certainly no aged tertiaries. So that's why this wine, coming back to the nose here, is a youthful wine, because it's showing no tertiary. The simplicity factor here is really that I think you as a student will struggle to get 5, 6 or 7 things here. And we normally consider a wine simple if there are less than 8 descriptors listed by a student. Now, of course, if you'll see there on your slide, if you add them up, it's something like 10 or 11, but that's from me, the examiner. I will always put more that the wine warrants than a student. You will probably be putting down somewhere about half of what I get. So this will be about 5 or 6, but please put a little bit more if you can. So that's the nose complete for 7 marks, okay? Medium intensity, youthful, simple, and then 4 marks from any of these on this slide. If you have missed simple and you haven't put it down, then unfortunately you won't be able to get a mark for that. The maximum aroma marks here for this wine is 4 because they class simple technically as an aroma. Then we come to the palate of this wine, and I think this is fairly straightforward. It is a dry, high, and medium in terms of the first 3 categories: sweetness, acid, and alcohol. And this is what I call the famous 3 or Holy Trinity. Very typical for many modern white wines today to be dry, high, and medium. The body here is light or medium minus. You'll note that I've put a range. I can do that as an examiner. You cannot. You must put down one or the other to get the mark there. The body is so light on this wine because there is really nothing adding texture. That will come from really ripe fruit compounds, which this wine does not have, no tropical, no stone fruit, and then things like malolactic, yeast or oak, which this wine also has none of. The flavour intensity is about medium minus, the finish is about medium, and it is simple, again on the palate, like it was on the nose. That so far is actually a total of 7, and the total for a white wine palate is 9 marks. So the flavour characteristics, which you'll see second from the bottom there, primary, secondary and tertiary, there's only 2 marks of the same list that we had before. So you've seen this previously on the nose. So if you've got apple and maybe wet stones, then you get those 2 marks, but you must be putting down simple as well. So a total of 9 marks for the palate. That, remember, is those 6 things on the previous slide, plus simple, plus 2 from this list. No secondaries and no tertiaries. The final 2 marks, to total up to 20 for this white wine, is on the conclusions. You can follow your emotions or you can follow the BLIC process, that's the Blick process, to consider what the quality level is. If you follow that process, B for balance, yes. L for length, no, it doesn't have the long length. I for intensity, yes, this does have intensity in reference to the body. If we go back, intensity is not just something like pronounced, because that would not be fair to delicate wines like this Chablis. I consider the flavour intensity a positive if it is equal to or greater than the body, and you can clearly define characteristics, and I think you can on this wine. So at medium minus, I actually still will give it a mark. Then for complexity, C for complexity, well, we've considered this wine simple, so it actually wouldn't be considered complex. So that's 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4 is outstanding would be 4 out of 4, very good 3 out of 4, so we are good. Now, technically, with this wine not having a huge amount of density or a huge amount of texture, it won't age. Now, it will probably develop in some way, but according to the WSET rules, we would say that this is a drink now, not suitable for further aging, to remain that sort of light, delicate, mineral style Chablis. So that brings me to the conclusion of that first wine. If you are interested in, of course, purchasing the tasting case to have access to those remaining 5 Chardonnays to really get your practice on Chardonnay, then please scan this QR code or look at the description below this video. It's really useful because Chardonnay is certainly a typical grape variety to come up in your blind wine tasting exam. That brings me to the conclusion. We do always have more tasting cases available for you to practice, including essential examination wines and other grape varieties. Either scan this QR code or click on the link in the description below. Please do get in touch with any other comments. I've been Jimmy Smith. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Ciao for now. Goodbye.